Hi, Imtiaz. Welcome to the Millionaire Way podcast. And congratulations for your amazing book, Riding Free.
Thank
So,
you so much for having me on this platform.
so Imtiaz, how did you start on this beautiful journey? Can we know about your early childhood and how did you begin to dream for Olympics?
Well, ever since I was child, I was about 4 or 5 years old. I always wanted to represent India. I don't know why. It was just something that was always in me. I would give victory speeches, and I would put chairs in my house, and stand on them as if I was on the podium and thanking everybody. So it was just something I didn't even know which sport it was. I was just something that I always wanted to wear. I was so proud that one day I will represent India. I was so young. I didn't know in which sport or anything like that. But it was something that was always there. And then as time went on, equestrian was always a part of my life because my mom and my grandfather both used to ride horses. So I was taken to the riding club at a very young age, and I found I was just passionately in love with horses. And I used to talk to them. They were like my best friend. I was so little, I couldn't even ride them, but I would brush them and bathe them and all kinds of things. So I got that, that bond started at a very young age.
Wonderful. When I read your book, there was a series of people who came in your life who gently guided you onto this path. So this journey, basically, if we say it started with your dream, but then you started, attracting people and mentors in your life who could just keep you on this path and encourage you and make way for you forward. So, would you like to talk about that?
That is the most important thing. And that's one of the reasons actually I wrote the book, to tell people that, when you have a goal that is so true and it's from your heart and for the right reasons. I was not doing it for publicity. I was not doing it because I wanted to keep somebody else happy or to prove a point. I was just doing it because I wanted to do it. And I think people see that. People see that honesty. People see that, this person is really wants it from the heart. And it's amazing how many people came to, and there was no money exchange and there was nothing in for them. My goal became their goal, and it was just
Yeah.
lovely that how they came in. And in so many situations, as the book will tell you, where I was failing and I was falling, and I said, this is it. It was like a guided angel came into my life and gave me that energy and gave me that force to say, keep climbing, keep climbing. And sometimes it wasn't always about keep climbing. It was just support to just stay there, because sometimes you just need to, a hand to be held, as you would know that a lot. So, just like that, where you just sometimes don't need to be pushed. So it was just lovely that I had these people in my life. I mean, one of the biggest mentors was my coach. I was only 11 years old when I met Diana,
Yeah.
and she was a she was an expat's wife. And when she came to India, she knew nobody in Bombay, in the concrete jungle coming from rolling hills of England. And she met my mother and my parents, and again welcomed her into our home. We had no clue who she was or what she was, but our home was always open, and she came and spent her days with us. And she started training me at 11, and from 11 to 30, I had the same coach. So for
Wow.
20 years, she trained me with no exchange of any money, nothing in return, just because she just loved, the family. She loved my dedication, and that's what it's all about. So, whenever I do these talks to kids, also I keep telling them it's what you put in that the others would put in as well. It's a two-way relationship.
Yeah, in the energy world, we say when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Yes. So
You know,
I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that line. I like it. I like it.
yeah. So I feel, because of that passion and the dedication that you had, like it's interesting. Most of the times when I talk to people, it said that their childhood is all full of confusion.
Yes.
What to do, what not to do, and you having that clarity early on in your life. I'm sure you didn't know which sport, but you were very clear about what is it that you wanted to see yourself as. And I think that is where the law of attraction, or you say that the universe starts to conspire and start bringing you people and situations in your life. So there would have been times in your in this journey, like in your book also, you say there were many failures, as compared to the successes that we see today. So how important it is to build that inner resilience when you have that massive goal in front of you, and how could you do that during this journey?
So I think it's important for two angles. One is, I was put in that situation at a very young age. I went to boarding school.
Yeah.
So you have to fend for yourself a little bit there. So that teaches you a little bit. I think today's day and age, we protect our kids away too much. Everything, if they're thirsty, the bottle is, we come running with a water bottle. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. They've got, we should be like a net for them, but let them experiment, let them fall, let them rise. It's all a part of life. But if we protect them too much, we're giving them a walking stick at too early age. Now, I was, when you look at the book also, I hate to put it in that way, but I was a little privileged child. I went to a good schools. I had my family support all the time. But so I could have been a little bit of a spoiled kid from Bombay if I didn't go to boarding school.
Yes.
So I was lucky that my parents pushed me a little bit out of my comfort zone and said, let's see what he does. So that helps a little bit. The next thing that I tell you in all these sort of situations is the people. You have to have positive people around you. I was very fortunate, right from my parents to everybody around me. Even when I failed, it was never, you've tried, you've done your best, let's try something else. It was, what do you want? And I said, well, I want to represent India. And they said, well, then get back on the saddle. There was no questions, as to, why don't we try something else? This is too hard. Or the negativity was not there at all. Even in an idea, a lot of times when I came up with an idea, my parents would say, yep, sure, let's try it. We may not have done it, but at that time, there was never a no. It was more, let's figure it out. Let's see what the possibility is. Is there somebody we know? Is there somebody who's already done it? Can we ask someone? Because we didn't know. It's all, deep waters. And today's day and age, that's what the kids also have, They don't know the future. They don't know. They're scared. So a lot of them are scared, and they're scared of failure as well. So failure is a part of success. You have to fail. And it's all right. It's about how you overcome those failures. And it's not always overcoming. It's always positive. I hate to tell people this. It's not that, build character. No. When you're down, it is down. You feel terrible. But it's the support that you get from people, family, friends that keeps you going.
Absolutely. So, like you said, you had this wonderful mentor called Diana. You had your parents, supporting you, during thick and thin. And, sometimes even after this, we feel really low, apart from the support. So what was your inner game? How did you master that, that moments of quietness, solitude, where you were going through your own doubts, whether I'm on the right path, is it the right career for me? How did you manage to overcome those things?
Well, I think for me, my focus was always the big picture. And I always, as a kid also, I always looked back, as you can say, even the book, I was writing thank you speeches at that young age. So for me, whenever I went through those sort of stages, I always looked at the people that helped me throughout my journey. And I said, I can't let them down. So I have to keep going. Look at the amount of people that have put in their energy into me. Look at the amount of people that have gone out of their way, which they didn't have to. They really didn't have to, but they did it for me. So I can't let myself go down. So that's the thing that kept me going. My horses, that was another thing that was a real positive energy for me, because it was something I loved. Whenever I was low, I would go and spend time in the stables. I would spend time with them. I would go for a ride. So things like that. Physical exercise was another thing. So there were it's not one thing. When some things like this happen, you have to have 2-3 things that help you. So
absolutely,
my mind-wise, it was all about, look at the people that have made this dream come true for me. People have really, really worked hard for me. I have to keep going. When it came to my physical thing, it was sport, horses, family, friends, all that kept me going.
And how did you create that mental or physical discipline in order to pursue a sport which is not very common?
Yes.
It's not a master's game. So
Sorry. So that is a very interesting thing, because even today when I teach kids, I have my own equestrian center, and I tell them discipline, determination, always it has to be a part of your life. And I was again fortunate with the boarding school, because that boarding school instilled that into you. You have to get up at 6, you have to show up. Timing was really important. Dress up correctly, be polite, so those sort of things were instilled. That's why I'm a really old school in that form, that I think uniform is important. I think it's important in school that they have a timing. It's not like 8 to 9, come anytime. No. When my friends invite me for dinner at 8:30, I'm usually there when the hosts are not ready. So usually now they say parties at 8:30, invite him at 9 o'clock, because he'll come at 8:30 and we won't be ready. So it's something that has to be a part of your life. I always tell people, don't do it just for the lesson. Don't do it just only when you train. Don't, it's got to be your way of life. You have to be a disciplined person to achieve things like this in anything you do in your life. So it doesn't have to be sport. You look at successful people, all of them have the same work ethic.
Yeah.
That is what keeps them successful. Not because they're smarter than you. They're not smarter than us or smarter than the next person, but they have the work ethic. So I always tell my students also that hard work beats talent always. talent can only take you to a certain place. And there are many talented people around the world. In India itself, we've got huge talent, but they don't have the hard work. They don't have the work ethic. They don't have the, and the family support. When you see some of the kids, he's got a little bit of cold, he'll go late today, or don't go to school tomorrow. No. You got to stick with the program. You got to keep pushing and keep working. And it's not about winning and losing. It's the journey.
Absolutely. And in that journey, who you become, I think that is what stands out, and it shines in the long run. Because if you're working for a goal or pursuing a goal, that is a very short-lived success.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
I mean, a perfect example would be as the Olympic Games that just got we had 7 medals. Everybody was so excited. People have forgotten their names already. Nobody even knows who they are. So what happens to the 125 out of 1 billion people in this country? 125 only went to the Olympic Games. We don't even know their names. They did the same sacrifices. They worked as hard. They put the same training in. So, it's very short-lived. So it's their personal journey that you have to look at. Don't do it for others. Don't do it to make somebody else happy. Do it for yourself first. You have to be happy inside you first. Then you can give happiness. You have to have it to give it.
These are the things that we talk about in the energy world. Follow your joy, follow your passion.
Yes.
But at times the rational mind, it keeps telling you, okay, whether there is money in this, will I be able to sustain myself? Is this career good for me? And those are the doubts that cloud people. But I think with the kind of determination and discipline, we can keep a control or check on these external factors.
I totally agree with you, because I think this is where the mistake is happening. And now that you said it, in fact, I'm just thinking of it while we're talking about it. It's because I always say you will make money if you do something you love, but then you have to put the other part to it. You see, most other people, because when they're a doctor, engineer, when they're going to the IT, it's so structured for them, they don't have a chance. While in the other field, when you're living your passion, you do have a chance to get slack, and most people do. For me, if I got up or didn't get up, who's there to tell me? Doesn't matter, because I'm going to ride a horse. Horse can wait for an hour. But that never happened. I was always up even till today. I'm up at 5:30 every morning. That's just instilled in me. If I teach a lesson and I tell my students lessons at 6, if they come at 5 to 6, they're already late. Because I'm never there. I'm always there before. So these are the things that whenever you choose a path that is a bit out of the norm, when you choose something that is not conventional, you have to work even harder.
Absolutely. And I think people have started resisting hard work, because we've started talking about, the law of attraction doing the work for you. But people don't talk about, the required action that needs to back that thinking or intention. Right?
Absolutely. They all want to be a millionaire. That's it. They all want to be, that's the first thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, that is what we need to emphasize. The first thing that you said, we don't have to be afraid of failures. That's so important, because that is where people just slip, most of the times from their goals, because they do not see results. And so Imtiaz, for you also, it was a journey of preparing for the Olympics, right? So in this preparation also, there would have been times when, like, for example, your first, I think it was your first horse, when he broke his leg, it was something that probably could have brought you down, that this is not meant for me, or probably it's a bad omen, this happened for the first time in my life. These so these demons keep cropping up in our mind as well. So how do you balance that, the mental part of it? Or do you do meditation? Do you do anything that keeps you aligned? Or it is just the firm focus that you've been following, the North Star?
It's the firm focus, nothing else. And it's amazing when you stay so focused, people come. Like when that happened, I was crushed. I was in a place that was not very nice. I was working long hours. It wasn't the right training. My horse had just broken his leg. And exactly what you said, being Indian, these things come, these superstitions come in our mind. This is a sign from God. This is a sign from there. It's all in our mind. But I didn't let anybody know about it firstly, because I didn't want anyone to know that I had failed. And I just didn't know. But then Beverly MacArthur, she's a member of, her husband was a member of parliament, senior Australian family, just made that phone call that day. And she said, how are things? And I just broke down literally, because I could not bear it. I was so upset, and that's another thing I want to tell people. It's okay to cry, it's all right. Get it off your chest. People, boys can't cry, men can't cry, all these are things which we have in our mind. We have to stay away from all the stereotypes. And she said, I'm coming to pick you up. We're going to come and stay at my house. And that was it. 3 years I lived with an Australian family who I never knew. And they took me apart as their family. It's like from day one, I was given, chores. Okay, you'd pick up Sarah, you'll drop James, you'll do this, you'll do that, dinners at this time. And, we just became one family. So there was not like, here's an outsider, or, now it's a burden, we got to look after him. I was not treated anything differently. I was treated like all of them from day one, which is beautiful, but it's also the way you do it. Like I was always helpful. I never was late, slack, sleeping. I would be always there with Bev saying, oh, what can I do? Can I help? Can I wash dishes? Can I take something? I'll pick up the kids. I'll drop the kids. So, it's also your attitude that has to work towards it. You cannot be only receiving. That's another thing, because people get tired of giving also.
Right.
And also this thing of birthright. I think this is a big thing that we should talk about, because a lot of people think, no, it's a haq. No, there's nothing is anybody's birthright. You work for it. It's your attitude. It's your the way you look at life, and the way what you do for others as well. Then it comes back. It takes a full circle.
Yeah, it takes a full circle, absolutely. And I think people, when they start giving, they start expecting.
Yes.
Too soon.
Yes. And they give with the mind already of what they're going to expect. That itself, they're going to get less.
Yeah.
Straight away, I can guarantee you'll get less. But if you just give without even expecting, like even in today's day and age, people are sending you a gift, and immediately the message comes, like they haven't received a thank you note or thank you. You know what I mean? It's because our technology is like that. Today you send a WhatsApp message, you expected reply. In the old days, in my school, you had to write a letter, post it, 2 days to reach home, 2 days to come back for a reply. So you had patience. Now it's one message. You send. You're literally looking at the phone. I haven't received a message back. So that's how the world has become.
I know. So if I have to ask you 3 things that you would say are really important for maybe when you're a student or when you're pursuing your dream, 3 qualities that are super important to have, to have a kind of success that you achieved today.
3 things. I think the first thing is you got to work hard. You have to have the work ethic. I mean, there's no substitute for that. I never had a sleep in. I never took days off. Even when I was a kid, I just loved it. Even when I look at sport, whatever sport I did, I trained really hard. But, I used to dream about that. That's why I could train hard. So when I was a swimmer, I was already, when I used to swim my laps, I thought I was in the Olympics. Even for my day-to-day swimming, when I was a runner, I thought I was, like at the starting blocks, I thought Carl Lewis is next to me on the right. I'll be looking, and in my mind, I would be saying, Carl, this is mine. Like people would think I was crazy. So I visioned all these things all the time. I'm a big visionary. Even now, whenever I want something, I think about it first. I plan. You got to have the vision has to come first. So that's something I always say. Have that big vision. Always think big.
Yeah.
Never, because it doesn't cost to think.
Absolutely.
Why restrict the thinking process? Why go for level 2? If you're 10 on 10, go for 11 on 10. So what? Who knows? You may not get it, but you don't have it now anyway. So at least you can dream about it. So even when you dream, make sure you dream really big. Whatever it is, whatever you want in your life, it doesn't have to be sport. It could be, you could be the best mother. You could be you could be the best chef. You could be a best, in artist, whatever field you like. It doesn't have to be the conventional field. So I always tell people, think as big as you like, and with the dreaming. So that would come as one. And the third thing I think is attitude. That is very, very strong. You have to be humble. I think this is something that people mistake. It does, there's so many good people out there, and you have to always respect people first, because you never know how many people you need to achieve your goal. Even though if mine was an individual sport, it's a team effort. You saw how many people, if it wasn't for Diana, it wasn't for Beverly, it wasn't for my parents, wasn't for the small people, even like the Sangwan, the Mr. Sangwan, if it wasn't for him, I would have not got anything what I've got, And I remember each and every one of them, it's even in the book, it just came back, all those memories, because they really did so much for me. I'm so blessed, so blessed.
And I think that attitude of gratitude that you have, which reflects in the entire book, is another thing that will take, the readers also, we feel that energy, when we are reading it, we feel that love, we feel that connection and relationship that you have with every person that you've come across, even your horses, So this is interesting because, most of the time the sports, it's a team effort, but a different kind of team effort.
Yes.
But with you and your horses, there is a relationship that needs to be built in order to, because like their success depends on your success, your
Yeah.
success depends on their success. And these people cannot talk, the animals cannot talk. And it's, so how did you bond with these horses? And you know I think it requires a lot of humanness and love that goes into this. But I want to know, how do you do that, you know?
Well, I think the first thing is, what I love about the animal is that, it's such a big animal. So it's not one like a
Yeah,
dog where it's going to wag its tail and run and jump on you. It just
yeah,
stays there quiet. And you have to give all the time. You have to have patience. So the one thing horses teach you is patience. So you cannot rush it. You cannot have it now. You cannot demand it. You give it a pat, you don't expect a pat back. Like a dog will give you a pat back immediately. A horse will
yeah.
just stand there. So it teaches you a lot of things. So it's a matter of just spending time with them. It's like, I'm sure you've been in a situation like this where you're with your best friend. You don't have to talk to each other. You can still be in the same room, and that's enough. It's
Mm.
it's not continuous conversation. You can be in a long drive sometimes, you and your with your husband or with your partner.
Yeah,
You don't have to be talking all the time. It's just that you're like there, and that's enough. So that's that level of friendship where you don't have to even speak to a friend for every day, and then when you speak, you leave. You start where you left. That's the kind of relationship you have with horses, because there's no immediate reaction for them.
yeah, reaction,
Zero.
that's true.
So you just spend time. It's so therapeutic. It's unbelievable. I have so many clients now, even coming to my place. They love to groom the horses, bathe the horses, because they just stand there. They just wait, and you cannot rush it. So even if you're in a rush, they're not in a rush. So it just teaches you, take a deep breath and just blow out. There's
Yeah.
nothing there. Same when we ride these horses. I tell my students the same thing. You are not going to achieve anything today, tomorrow, or the next month. You have to just take your time. Every day is one step, one step, one step. And that's the beauty of our sport. It teaches you so much patience. It's unbelievable. And I'm not a very patient person. So it's really amazing how even my friends and family says that, when everywhere else you're like running, up, down, let's go, let's do this, let's do that. But when you come sit on a horse, you just sit. You don't do anything. I said, that's what the horses taught me.
It's meditation, I feel, when
Yes,
you're talking about it, it's just like a meditation.
absolutely.
The more you start anticipating and thinking that, this will happen or this will happen, and it doesn't happen, you have to give your time and you have to be present,
So
you
true.
know. So it's beautiful, when you read all of these things. I think as a child, everybody has that love for animals, but most of us are contained with, the smaller ones which we
Yes.
can tackle. So just seeing, or being in a sport wherein you have a responsibility of this beautiful, animal or a companion, and then going forward. And sometimes, like I was also going through one of your interviews where you said that you had this fear that, what will I answer to my horses if I don't win?
Yeah.
How am I going to tell
Yeah.
them that,
Yeah.
this is not happening? Or if I win, I would be putting a medal around them.
Yes.
That kind of bonding and love and affection is I think is understood by everyone. It
No,
you know
it's a young boy. It's a friend's son. He's only 8 years old. So in fact, just yesterday, he sent me a message. Imtiaz uncle, I have a question for you. I finished your book. I said, yes. So I called him up. I said, what's the question? He said, how did you remember everything? He said, this is so far back. You've not forgotten anything in the book. And I said, you know how I remembered it? It's the horses that I remembered. So once I remembered a horse, which I'll never forget, all the stories around that horse came about. So I
Mm.
stuck to horse to horse to horse, rather than going from my life to life to life, because these horses were such important parts of my life that once I thought of that horse, I remembered every story that was with that horse. So that's how close they were. Even today, when I have my own stable, I have named the stable, or each stable has a brass plaque with all those horse names, not the horses that I named.
Wow.
Because Rajesh, Arizona, my first Olympic horse, Spring and Wave, these were horses that meant so much to me, and I could have not done what I did without them. And they were not any great fancy horses. It was that relationship we have. It's that special bond that we had, that we could achieve that. They were not any top level. They were not really expensive horses. They were not high quality or high bred. They were just normal. And this is what I try to tell people in life also. The first benchers when you go to school, they're not
Mm.
always the most successful people in life.
True.
So
True.
it's not about being success. People get this wrong thing that making money is success. That
Mm.
is not success at all. Anybody can make money if you really put it that way. That is not success. It's quality of life that you've had, the journeys that you've had, the people that you met, the people that have touched you, the people that you've touched, the people that you've done things for. Those are things that actually matter in life.
I completely resonate with it. And, and probably in this journey of success, people miss out on those relationships because they're in so much hurry of reaching success that they miss out on the interactions that they
Yes.
have on the journey. And what you've done beautifully is, captured all those relationships and, brought about the significance or importance of nurturing relationships. And, you know, uh, also paying a lot of deep respect and gratitude to the people who have been around you. And I think gratitude is such a integral part of your book that, we all feel that it is so important to be grateful, because that is when we can receive more and more or tune into that energy of
Yes.
receiving. So it's just amazing to read this book. The other thing is, you also talk about purity of intent, purity of intent and how you navigate your journey using that intention. So do you, like you said, you use visualization, dreaming big. Apart from that, when you talk about purity of intent, what was that purity of intent for you?
So in a way, mine, it could not be as philosophical as you would like it. But for me, purity of intent was more what I tell kids today. I gave a talk to a school and I said, don't make your dream because your parents want it. Don't do it because your friends are doing it. Don't do it because that's the thing to do. That's where the purity comes in. You have to do it because you really, really want it. You get up every morning thinking about it. You sleep every night thinking about it. You dream every night thinking about it. That's what how pure it has to be. It has to be something that you really want for the right reasons, not because it makes more money, not because it's going to make you popular, not because you're going to be meet the who's who or become a celebrity or be page 3. These are not, those will happen, and and that's fine. It's not a wrong thing, but it's not the reason why you do it. For me, I did it not because of any other reasons. I didn't do it. And that's why I tell people even today, when you choose something, you gotta get out of your comfort zone. Don't go somewhere because that class is convenient, or because the people from the building are going, so we should also go. The car is going, so we can go in the same carpool. Those are just normal standard things. You gotta push your limits. You gotta get out of that comfort zone because you really want it. You will achieve it. People will see that. I see it now with my kids that come and train with me also. There's some who just come, take a riding lesson, and they go. There's some that come because mom and dad are paying the bills, and that's what mom and dad wanted. And there's some who absolutely want it. And you can see that. So those are the people, when you have that sort of purity, everybody sees that.
I agree.
You don't realize it, but people do see it. People remember those things, so and that's what will take you to the next stage.
Yeah, you can't hide the energy.
No,
you
just cannot. No.
Yeah. So, Imtiaz, like your training facility, the way I see you is like, you have to be a good human being in order to be a great sports person. That is
Yes.
how I see your way of life. But how would you define this way of life for a successful person?
No, I mean, I think
What should be the way of life?
way of life should be, firstly, you have to find something you're passionate about. You got to be something that you love, and it's okay if you don't have it, because a lot of kids come and tell me, we don't have it, we have not found it. But don't go in a short, and don't make somebody else's passion yours just because you have to make it. That's also wrong. It'll come. You got to give the time and figure it out, and then put that time into it. In my school, it's about how much time they put with that work. It's work ethic is so important in everything they do. It's about time, patience, understanding. There's so many things that can go into it. In everything you do in life, you just got to look at it more of a holistic way. What the biggest mistake is there, it's 2 plus 2 is 4. Those days have gone. Now there's 2 plus 1 plus 1 is also 4. You can take half plus half. There are many combinations and permutations that can still make 4. We were taught 2 plus 2 is 4. That's it. We had no choices. We were told this is the way, and now it's not that way. So let them be creative. Let them figure out their own ways. Find what works for you, because what works for me may not work for you. And that's some interesting that you brought it up. I was at a competition, just to go a little sideline, and I was training an all-girls school team in Australia, the national team, and I worked with them for 4 years. I actually took them international. So we were at a show, and I was warming up one girl, and then another girl came in, and a parent asked me, "Oh, you warmed up this girl totally, for 20 minutes, and you gave and this girl only 10 minutes." Oh, just to give an example.
Yeah.
Two different girls. I cannot warm them up the same way. You have to look at their personality. You got to look at who they are. You got to look at what their horse is. It's a pack. It's a whole thing has to be looked at. It's not a production line. If I warmed up this girl for the same amount as this girl, she would have got fried in the warm up. So you have to know that. That's the difference between coaching, mentoring. They're all different roles have to come into place.
Yeah,
And we need that all. We need mentors, we need life coaches, we need coach, because they can't give us different perspectives. It's not only one. You have to then combine all of them and get the best out of it.
absolutely. On the same question, most of the time we feel that coaches or mentors are needed in the sports, or where probably you need more experience. But now more and more people are also talking about coaching for life, for career. you know how, being in the sport, how do you see that this is becoming more and more relevant, and probably this is going to be the way if a person has to live a better quality life, or succeed in life?
I think it is better than actually education. To be honest, if I had my own school, I would have more mentoring classes than learning history and geography, because that you can learn from a book, and today you can Google it and find out whatever anybody wants to find out. You don't have to study it like how we had to study
Yeah.
hours and hours of how many people died in one war. Who really cares? Because mentoring and coaching helps us so much in guiding us, in knowing who we are, finding out people and pushing those people. Because that is so important. When we are young, we have our parents. They're little still, I'll be honest, whatever it is, but it's still bias, because they're your parents. They only want the best for you. So there's not really thing. Then you go to school and colleges, you do have your then you go to college, you have your professors. It's when you leave that, you have nobody. So you're out in this world, you are totally lost. You don't have a clue. So we need those sort of people. I always, one of my very good mentors told me this before at a very young age, and said, get mentors in your life who are from different walks of life. So they could be doctors, they could be engineers, they could be IT, they could be musicians, whoever is successful in life and you look up to. You have to have that sort of
Yes.
connection. Just someone you look up to, that I like the way they live life. Not that they got more money and they're driving a Mercedes car. Not because they're living in the high flying, or they're flying first class everywhere. But it's the way of the type of person. And then try and spend time with them. Most people like this abroad, which I don't know whether I hope it comes to India as well. If you send an email to somebody with some connection, they would love to do that. And it's one morning breakfast and just talking to them, because the amount of ideas you can get, the amount of thoughts you can get, they are successful, they've lived life, they've got the experience, and they can help you in so many ways. It's unbelievable.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think probably we are missing out on this thing. And I hope more and more people realize that coaching, mentoring, or, even taking decisions, a third party, perspective of your situation
Absolutely.
can really help you deal better with life, and, hasten the process of making decision, or maybe, improving certain things in your life early on. So this is Imtiaz, can you also speak about the training and mentoring school that you have, and probably people who are listening can benefit. If they are in and around Mumbai, they can come and visit you.
So we have a place called, it's called the Seahorse Equestrian. It's a beautiful facility. It's owned by my parents for many years, and now I've converted it into this whole equestrian haven. It's a boutique stable, about 14 horses, and we're right on the beach. So it's really
Wow.
small fishing village. And let me tell you, there is absolutely nothing there. Okay, so it is only our house. We're the only house on the beach right now, and even the town is very small. So there's no restaurants or shops or cafes. Not happening. So it's really very secluded and beautiful. But what I wanted to do was to give back. So we have students from all over. We have right now a student from Delhi, Chandigarh, Orissa, all over. They come and they're residential. So they actually stay and they learn what the way of life is. They learn what it is to get up in the morning, look after horses, ride horses, train horses. So it becomes a part of their life to know whether this is what they want or they don't want to, because it's a lot of work. So you have to love it. You have to want it to do that. And that's what happens to anything in life. Wherever you want to be successful, there's no shortcut. It's a lot of work that you have to put in. We also have people coming just for the weekend. So people from Bombay, we have people from Surat, Delhi, they come from families. So you can learn to ride there as well. So if you've never sat on a horse, you can get that riding lesson. But also we do a lot of therapy lessons. There's no charges for it, where we teach them more the grooming, the brushing, spending time with their horses. We have lovely paddocks. The horses are out. They can spend time with them. And it's great for kids.
Yeah.
It's like any other sport. Once the sport is over, you put it in your kit bag or your gear bag and it's over. With horses, it's not over. So
Yeah.
whether you have a good day, you have a bad day, you have a good ride, even if you've fallen off, you come back, you still have to look after the horse, you still have to take it. So it teaches them that it's not all about them. It's not me. They've got something else to look after. So it's just wonderful. And it's the only sport where, men and women compete together, because there's no
Yes.
strength. there's no stamina. It's all tact. So it's great for kids also that are not very sporty, because if you're not the fastest runner and you can't kick the football the hardest, then what happens to you as a kid? You're lost. But they still want to do sport. They can still ride because they don't need speed. It's all tact. It's like music. They've got to have finesse. They've got to have understanding. They've got to have relationship. So it helps a lot. It helps a lot of kids. Now we've gone into even kids which have got like ADHD, or they've got some
Yeah.
things like that, because it helps them, because patience. These horses teach them all that thing. So it's a huge world out there, which it's really wonderful for your families and for your kids to get that experience to be outdoors with an animal.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I think, having that kind of setup, people need to experience these things.
Yes.
I feel, we can talk about it, but once you experience, being with the horses, I think it would be a very different kind of
Yes.
understanding or relationship that one can develop with these beings. Also, one question that is coming to me, we've spoken about this entire journey. It's a competition, right, Imtiaz? So, when you're competing with people, or you know that you're going to, win a certain medal, and there are levels, gold and silver and bronze, and so sometimes when you're competing, as a sports person, what goes in your mind? There are people who are seeing and passing judgment about various things, but when you are in the sport and you put in all the hard work, do you also have those lower emotions about competition, or he doing better than me, or she doing better than me? How do you deal with that?
I never did. And I always tell my students, don't compete with others. You compete with yourself. All I look at it is I want to improve. Yeah, everybody likes to win. I mean, I'm not going to take that away. That's why we are competitive. I'm very competitive as a person as well. Even if I'm playing Monopoly with the family and all, I'm there. There's the board games. All the whole family is like that. I have my son. And when he was young, some other family came and they said, but let him have another chance. I said, no, he's already missed his chance. Sorry, he's not going to get another chance. He learns. But that's who we are. As that's who I am. But when you come to this sort of level, and as you grow up the levels, the winning does not matter, because it's so fine to win. There only 1%, 0.1% can win. So it's not about winning. It's about improving yourself. It's about going to the next level. It's about playing better than you played before. It's about improving that timing. It's what I always believe. Even at the Olympic Games, I never look at all these things. I look at PBs, personal best. If you can give your personal best at an Olympic game, to me, that itself is a medal. That means you have performed the best at the highest level, because there's nerves, there's tension, there's stress. In our sport, it's dangerous as well. So, there are lots of deaths that have happened. So when we go out there, it's not like, oh, are we going to make the timing or not? Are we going to stay alive is another thing. So we're scared, we're nervous. It's all a part of it. But, you got to have that little bit in you that you can do it. But at the same time, it's not all about the medals. It's about doing your best.
Doing your best. And I think probably this should be the outlook for every person who is out there. Just be your best.
Yes.
And that is how you can bloom and be the person you are. The other thing that I wanted to ask Imtiaz is that the whole idea of writing the book, how did this come through? Because you just completed, I think, Sydney Olympics 2000, right?
Yeah.
And the book is here, and it was like it's full of information. What inspired you to write this book?
So I think one of the main reasons was the giving back. I just felt that, I at a point came in my life and I said, I need to tell people, because not that I won many medals, not that I'm a top, this thing, but my journey was special. My journey was different. My journey was very, very different. And it was, as you said, earlier, the amount of people that came into my lives is for them as well and for people to understand that the universe does provide. People will come together. So I thought it was really important. As a small wedge, it's again touching more people. If I've even changed 5 people's lives, to me, I've done my job. The book has done its job. That's the way you got to look at everything. It's not about book sales, as nobody makes money selling books. That's not the idea. The idea is again, it's the wrong concept to be a bestseller, be the #1 book. No. Mine is to change people's lives. If I could do that, if somebody read the book and says, "Wow, we can do it," whatever their dream could be, it's possible. Then the whole idea of writing my book has been achieved.
I feel, people who know you through your book are going to, have a part of you with them always. The kind of person that you are, the kind of energy that you radiate, it is it is, it is very rare to see people, so genuine, so passionate, and so giving. So I feel, this book is going to do much more
Well,
than
let's hope.
what you are, yeah, than what you were expecting. Because, through when I thought, I was reading the book, I just felt that uh, the person writing the book uh, is a person that has lived a life so passionately, and that passion is attracting, like we all want that law of attraction to work faster and quicker and so
Yes.
perfect that you don't have time to doubt yourself. It's just happening,
Yeah.
and people are putting you back into place, and it's just aligning you
Yes.
and making you your best version, and preparing you for this massive victory. So the book has done. I really want to congratulate for you
No, thank you
for
so
that.
much. That's very kind of you.
And so the last question,
Yes.
Imtiaz, how would you like to sum up Imtiaz? What would you like people to take back from this book? And also, as a person, how do you want people to remember you?
Remember me. I don't know if they remember me or not. But
They will.
the main message from the book is I would say is, follow your passion, live your dream, and get out of your comfort zone. That is
Mm,
the first thing you have to do. Think big, as big as you can, dream even bigger, and then this is the most important, never ever give up, because you are going to fall and you're going to sometimes keep falling and you're going to think, but if you stay focused and keep trying and don't try the same thing. So what I say is, if you keep doing the same thing, you'll get the same
yeah,
result. So that's very common. So try and change a little bit your path, but never give up.
beautiful. And what about, if you have to define Imtiaz in one word?
In one word, it's a hard one. And now this is going to be difficult. I can't talk. I hate talking about myself that way. I mean, one word would be resilient. I
Yeah,
don't take no for an answer. I'm going to
beautiful.
put now that this is something, I don't know whether it's recorded or not, but it's something that somebody said, in the book. They said, you never take no. You just keep going. You keep going. So I was telling this to a lady I worked with very closely in Australia. So I don't know, you want to put this in the show. So I was talking to her and I said, Desley, I remembered you so much because when I was working with her, we would go for a meeting and the meeting would say no, and I would come back and she said, now what are you going to do? I said, why did we say, why did you say, what are we going to do? She said, no, but they said no. I said, they didn't say no. They said maybe. She said no. They said no. I said, I didn't hear no. I heard maybe. They didn't say no way. She said no. They didn't say no way. They just said no. I said, then that's a maybe. So you have to have that attitude a little bit.
Absolutely. And I think, that is where, the energy, the energy that you radiate is contagious, Imtiaz. And I think, probably people need more people like you in their life because,
Uh,
you know, they need to open the doors of possibilities. I think
yes,
we are very constricted when it comes to, when you say dreaming big, because we think about limited possibilities.
always. And that's the sad part.
Yeah.
But we are taught that way. As Indians, we are taught like that, as a community, as a home, everywhere. It's
Yeah.
all about, even the things that we do. I hate to say that, what will people say, or what about this, or what about everything it's all restricted, everything we did. That's why in my book I said, when I rode my horse, that freedom I got, because everywhere else is do your homework, do your this thing, eat your vegetables, make your bed, have you done this, have you done that.
So true. Ride free. And that freedom is
Yes.
all about, freedom of expression, freedom of thinking, freedom of being and
Yeah.
doing, I think. Thank you so much, Imtiaz,
No,
for this
thank you.
wonderful podcast, and I'm sure it's going to inspire so many people, and more and more people would like to come and spend some time, at your training school, and maybe,
I
just
hope you will come one day.
definitely, I'd like signed up internally for this. I would
I've
love
got
to.
I've got a boy just now from Gurgaon actually.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And a boy and a girl that came. So lovely, lovely. They came and spent a whole month with me.
That's amazing. Yeah, probably we should plan for, lunch with Imtiaz and the horses and just experience this beautiful, sport together. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much,
much.
Imtiaz. Yeah, thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. God bless you, and may this book, serve its purpose and inspire many more people.
Thank you.
So much. Okay. So yeah, we are done. If there's
Okay,
just
great.
one line I want you to say, welcome to the Millionaire Way Show, because
Millionaire?
Way Show.
Yes.
Okay. So if we are on record, when you're ready, you can just say, wait, I'll just speak up. Can you talk, Imtiaz?
Yeah, yep.
You'll be pinned. Yeah.
Okay. Welcome to the Millionaire Way Show.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
No, thanks so much. Looking forward to it. Just message on WhatsApp, then I can, put them all on the program.
Absolutely. I'll do that. I'll do it with a lot of love, and you would see.
No. Thank you so much. No, it's really lovely, and lovely meeting you as well, because I see you have the energy too. So it's nice. It's really lovely. So
thank you so much, Imtiaz. God bless you. And
all right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Have a great day ahead.
Keep in touch. Bye.
Sure. Bye.